Hello people, welcome to the fourth tutorial for Java beginners, and in this tutorial we're gonna talk about the basic building blocks of any program, that are variables and different data types of variables we're gonna cover. So let's get started. Open our Eclipse from the shortcut that we made in the third tutorial. If you haven't checked it out, go get started from the beginning to have this program or have this tutorial series make more sense to you. Okay, so let's get started. This is the program that we made in our hello world. So I'm just gonna go back and start. Now when we talk about variables, this might not be a very unfamiliar word to you guys. You must have used it in your math class. If you remember correctly, we used to declare a variable in our math class, say x, and every single time we used this variable, it would have had its particular defined value, which we might have set it at in the beginning, say 10. And every time in any of the equations that we write and have x in it, that x would actually mean 10. So this is everything that you know already about variables. Variable is actually a placeholder for something, and usually it's a constant. Okay, so moving on to Java. Excuse me. Java actually has variables that have particular data types that tell actually what variable are we looking at to Java. So the variables or data types of variables in Java are actually defined in excuse me for that again, 4 categories, that are integers, then floating point types, then characters, and then booleans. We're gonna cover each of that in this tutorial very deeply, so that you would not require to have a look at it again ever in the future. So when we talk about variables, it can have several different types of values. It can have x equals to 5, or it can have a character, that is say a, or it can have anything like a constant but with decimal point, an integer with a decimal point, say 5.23, right? So based on the different values that it can acquire, data types of variables are set. So the data types of variables in Java are defined into 4 categories that I just explained. Let me go through again. Integers, then do you remember what was second? It was floating point types. Then there were characters at third, and the last one was boolean. So let's cover each of those, starting with integers. Now integers are nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, -1, -2, -3, all these whole numbers. So the data type integer only acquires whole numbers. You cannot put an integer and assign it to a decimal point. Obviously it will not give you an error. Okay, let's not get you confused, I'll talk about that later. But remember, integer only holds whole numbers. And there are different types of integers. Okay, when we talk about integers, there are different types of integers in Java. There is long, there is int, there is short, and then there is byte. Each of these have their own meaning, and each of these have their own uses. but they all come in integers, and since they come in integers, all of these would hold only whole numbers. Now long actually has a width of 64-bit, and smallest of all these, what I just explained to you, is byte. Byte has only 8 bits to hold. Then comes short. It has 16 bits to hold. Then comes int. It has 32 bits to hold. Then comes long. It has 64 bits to hold. You might want to remember all this because it's quite important, and that is why I'm going in very detail of each and everything. Now the next question comes is, how would you assign and how would you actually declare an integer variable? See, integer is just a data type. That means that tells the Java compiler that this variable would only hold whole numbers. So to define an integer variable, you would write int, that means the data type, and then the name of a variable. You can put any name of the variable, say x or y or z or anything, basically any variable name, that's up to you. So let me take int x, or to make it more specific, let's do int x, and then you put this equals sign. This equals is actually known as assignment operator, and what assignment operator is, it assigns the value which is kept on the right side of this assignment operator to the variable on the left of it. So let me put a whole number, x equals to 20. So what this does, this assigns the value 20, which is kept at the right of the assignment operator, to the variable x, which is kept at the left of the operator. So now wherever you would use x in the program, that x would mean 20. Now how would you show that? Remember the output syntax that actually helps us print anything on the screen, system.out. Okay, let's first deal with this. Now wherever I would use wherever I would use x, that would be replaced by 20. That means if I say x plus 10, that would mean 20 plus 10. If I say x plus 30, that would mean 20 plus 30. Now let's see how would you use this. Oops. Now you would know by now it's public static void main. Okay, so inside of that goes string args. This is how you just define a main function. Okay, so this is the main function. Now let me remove this and define a variable int 20 again, int x equals 20 again here. Now this x would mean that x would take value 20 every time it would be used. How's that? Let me show you out. Oops. X is, now there's always a plus sign here when you write something like this in inverted comma. Okay, we'll do a different complete tutorial about how to use this system.out.println and different variations of system.out.println in a complete tutorial, but just for the moment bear with me. Now when I say x here, it would always give me what x actually holds, and it holds 20, so it should give me the value of x is 20 in the output terminal. Let's run this program. So you see in the output window the value of x is 20. So wherever I would use x, it would mean 20. Okay, so this I hope makes clear what integer category of integers for data types is. Moving on to the next category now. Just gonna delete all of it. Then there are floating point types. What floating point type is actually, it is a variable of data type float or double that can hold decimal points. That means it can hold x equals to 55.98. So this 0.98, it can hold this fractional part as well. Integer cannot hold that, but double can surely, or floating point type can surely hold that. So it is used wherever you might expect the output in decimal point. It is always used there. And within the floating point types, there are actually two things, or two data types, that is double and then there is float. Both can hold floating point variables, but the difference actually comes in the size, that size of the bits that it holds. See, double can hold 64 bits while float can only hold 32 bits. So this is the basic difference between double and float. I might want to remember that. And now let's see how would you initialize and how it goes. Remember, when it comes to double and float, it's always decimals. Okay? Now, let's see. Public static void. I mean, the reason I'm writing it again and again is so that you guys would remember it perfectly. Okay, I messed up the spelling of public. Now we'll define a variable that is double double equals 55.98. You see, it holds a variable double is actually the data type which can hold a value 55.98. But what we talked about was it's just a data type. It needs a name of a variable or a variable name that could actually be replaced by 55.98. So let's give a name to the variable. Let's say it is y. y equals to 55.98. Now wherever I would use this y, it would be replaced by 55.98. Let's see again, system dot out dot print ln the value of y is, this plus actually means concatenation, we'll talk about that later, is y. So y would be replaced every time by 55.98 as long as this statement is there. Now let's run this. The value of y is 55.98. You see how it works. Wherever y is there, it will be 55.98 as long as this is written. So I hope this makes clear what floating points are. It is a data type that holds decimal values, whole plus fractional. You won't say that it cannot hold a whole number. It can hold a whole number, but it can hold a decimal point as well. Okay, so this I think makes clear what floating point variables are. So moving on to the next category of data types, that is characters. Now you guys must be knowing what actually characters are. Characters are anything by A, B, C, any of these alphabets, and then any of these special characters. And believe it or not, in Java, numbers are also considered as characters in some of the cases. That depends on the data type. So character variable is nothing but a variable that would hold character values. By character values I mean alphabets, I mean spatial characters, or at sometimes constant values, but they are not treated as constants, they would be treated as characters. Okay, so let's see how would you define a character value. A character value is actually defined with a syntax that is char, C-H-A-R, char, and then you give the name, and then you use assignment operator, and then while declaring a character, what you use are single inverted commas. Here, single, okay, single inverted commas, and then within these single inverted commas you give the character that you want this X to hold. So this is how you pretty much define a character. So let's see. Public static void main string args okay. So here let me define a character, char. Char is predefined, you cannot write it char a or char e or any of that. It's just char, character. It's a data type. Then character z is a variable name. Alright, let's write character. Now character is a variable name that would hold a character value. What character value might that be? Would be given within single inverted commas, or a post office, to a post office you'd say. Okay, so this, and let's say the character value is a, and let me write another. You might be knowing that every statement ends in Java with a semicolon. And let me define another character character 2 is just another variable equals 22. See, I told you characters can hold constants or integers like 1, 2, 3, but they don't treat them as integers, they are just treated as constants. Oops. Yeah, when you assign a character with an integer value, not exactly it's an integer value, it is not an integer value, it's just treated as character, but you don't use these single inverted commas. Okay, you just use them, you just assign them directly, but this 22 would be treated as a character, not an integer value. I'm marking this point again and again so that you guys don't make a mistake. Now let me just, so wherever I'd use this word character and wherever I would use this word character 2, they would mean a and 22. Let me just show. Out.println the value of character is and again system.out.println the value of character 2 is I'd run this character would take A and character 2 would take 22. Let's see. Yes, and here in the output window you can see the value of character is A and the value of character 2 is the symbol. And what this means is that at place 22 there is a complete Unicode set of numbers and alphabets in every keyword that you use, and according to this it means that at the place 22 in that Unicode, this character, this particular character that you see here is placed. So that is why at 22nd position in the character list it is giving you this. So this is how pretty much character works. You would get in touch with it. This will get stronger in your mind once you practice, and once we see some more codes and all that. Since then it's just this much, you know what character is now. Now the fourth and the last type is Boolean. What Boolean is, it's special data type that only takes two values, and those two values are either true or false. Let me repeat again, either true or false. So Boolean, I'm not gonna explain you what Boolean is and how Boolean works right now, because it requires for you to know operators like logical operators and relational operators. But all you need to know about Boolean right now, it's just a data type that would need name, say x equals, but it will only take two values, that is true and false. I'm not going to show you that or explain you anything about it right now, because for you to know Boolean it requires you to know again, I mentioned operators and relational operators like logical operators, because Boolean is used there. So when we get to the operators, I'll explain you Boolean in detail. But just remember, Boolean is also a data type that holds only two values. Either it holds true or it holds false. So this pretty much sums up the data types and variables in Java. I've explained them thoroughly and everything. But if you still have any doubts, you can comment me, you can message me, you can ask me to explain again. I'll do another video to explain if it takes for me to explain you guys another aspect of any of this. Just feel free to ask questions, okay, if you have any. And please don't forget to subscribe to watch more. Carry on with this tutorial, it will help you a lot. I mention this at the end of every video of this tutorial series because it's worth watching. Java is worth learning, guys. Okay, so I'll see you in the next tutorial. Okay, bye.